Here are some of the craziest and most fascinating stories from the Joe Rogan podcast that you can watch to fall asleep. From near-death experiences to mysteries that have lasted decades, and even real encounters with serial killers. This is going to get real crazy. David Goggins' 30 Days Challenge. Let's talk about the time Jesse Itzler shared what happened when he invited David Goggins to live with him for 31 days. You know Goggins, the bald, brutally honest ex-Navy SEAL that everyone calls the toughest and most disciplined man alive. This story is legendary because it's not just intense, it's also straight up hilarious.
I mean, when Goggins lived with me, his rule was we had to do something every day that sucked. That was his rule.
He's the master at that.
Yeah, tell me about it. And
what did he make you do?
Every day sucked. He didn't tell me that we're going to do that 5 times a day. That, you know. No, I mean, I remember one day, well, the first thing we did was he came in and he wanted to see how many pull-ups I could do so we could map out the month. He lived with me for a month. And I went to the pull-up bar and I got like maybe 8 pull-ups, which is an exaggeration. I probably got like 4 pull-ups. You know? A lot of people are listening, so I'll say 8. And then he said, all right, wait 30 seconds, go and do it again. And I went up on the pull-up bar and I did maybe like 3 or 4. He said, all right, wait 30 seconds, I want you to do it again. And I got up on the pull-up bar and I did maybe like 1 kipping, you know, getting my damn chin over the bar barely. And I dropped down, I was all jacked up. And I said, all right, well, what's next? He said, well, what's next is we're not leaving here until you do 100 more. We're not leaving the gym until you do 100 more.
That day?
Now. Like right now.
Right now. So you had done like, 7.
I did like probably 7 or 10. And I was like, man, Goggins, that's impossible. And he said, you know, I already know what your biggest problem is. And he's like, the limitations you're putting on yourself are self-imposed. Get the fuck back on the bar. And, you know, Roger that, man. And I got up on the bar and I over the course of an hour or 2, I did them. And that started our journey of like, you're about to go in a place where you've never been, motherfucker. You know? And, you know, we went, I remember one day I was sitting on the couch and in Connecticut where I was living at the time, and on the ticker on the TV, the emergency broadcast system came up. Stay inside. Freezing rain. Icy conditions. High winds. Stay inside. It was like beeping. Stay inside. And Goggins was like, this is amazing, man. Let's go for a run. And I'm like, they're telling us the exact opposite, man. They're broadcasting to the whole community to stay inside.
Right.
So we go for a 10-mile run in the blizzard, and we come home, and I lived on a lake, and kids are playing hockey on the lake. So we go down, and he takes his hand, and he moves all the snow off the ice. He gets a boulder, and he breaks the ice, a little hole in the ice with the boulder, and then he takes his hand, and he makes the hole a little bit bigger, and then he jumps in. And then he points at me, and he takes his finger, and he signals for me to jump in. I'm not going in the fucking freezing cold water, because my mother told me as a kid in Long Island, don't go anywhere near the frozen water. If you fall in, you have like a minute, you know?
Right.
He's bathing in it. So, of course, I go in, and he looks at me, he's like, man, you got about 2 to 4 minutes, you're going to get hypothermia. We just went on a run. We got to get you out of the lake. And I go to get out. He goes, you can't get out. He goes, if your skin touches the ice, it's going to stick to the ice like the kid in Christmas Story, his tongue that sticks to the pole, you know? So he puts my shoes back on my hands and picks my ass up and I put my socks on or whatever, and I bear crawl out of the ice, and I run up, and I see my wife looking out the window as I'm running into the house, and we come in, and she says to Goggins, you know, like, what's the medical benefit of jumping in a frozen lake? And he said to her, there's no medical benefit. She's like, this is what your husband signed up for. You know, he's like, I want to see how far he's willing to go to get to his goals. And I was like, fuck, this is going to be some 30 days, man. Jesus.
Wow. What was the toughest thing he made you do?
It was just the consistency of it. You know, it was just, he went everywhere I went. He shadowed me for 30 days. He went to every business meeting. We flew together. He lived, with my wife and I.
Did you think, like, what the fuck did I sign up for?
This is back in 2010. So this is, yes, I did. I was.
And the book came out 2 years ago?
No, I waited 5 years. I didn't, expect it to ever be a book. It was just like, at all. There was no book being discussed. I kept a little blog about it,
So why'd you do it?
I just felt like there was so much in it. There's so many lessons, and it was funny. Fish out of water, like he's coming into our house. My wife owns Spanx. I mean, like the whole dynamic of this shit was crazy. And I just felt there were a lot of lessons that could be learned through it. And, I just took a shot at it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's a maniac. When he did the podcast, I got here, he showed up super early. And when I got here, he was already with his shirt off doing chin-ups. I was like, I walked into the back where the gym is, and he's in there. I'm like, look at this motherfucker.
From the moment Goggins walked into Jesse's house, things got weird fast. Imagine inviting a guy like Goggins, who runs on broken legs, wakes up at 4 a.m. to suffer on purpose, and thinks most people are soft, to come live with your family.
Well, Goggins' story is so fascinating because he wasn't that guy. He was fat and out of shape and unmotivated and lazy and, talked openly about the first time he ran. Like, he quit. He was supposed to, he ran about 3/4 of a mile, I think he said, and quit. And he was exhausted and just drinking milkshakes and all fucked up. And somehow or another decided he's not going to be that guy anymore and went 180 degrees and became this intensely motivated Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the race. I saw him at the race where he broke all the bones in his feet, I saw him. I participated in that race. It's the first time I saw him. That's how I met him. And 2007. And
he broke all the bones in his feet?
He broke, he was running 100. I was running this race. It was a 24-hour race as a relay team. I was with 4 friends. And the format of the race is, you run a mile, I run a mile, whatever team runs the most amount of miles wins the race. He had no teammates.
That sounds
I'm like where's the rest of the team?
That sounds like him.
And he weighed a lot at the time. So I watched him.
Weighed a lot. Was he bodybuilding at the time?
He was just big. Probably weighed 260, 70 pounds, maybe
when
more.
He was deadlifting and all that stuff?
Yeah, maybe even more.
So was this the one where he ran 24 hours all around just to show that he could run 100 miles?
Yes.
And he wound up shitting himself?
Yes.
And all that? Yeah, he told me about that.
I saw it.
I didn't know he broke all the bones in his feet,
He
though.
broke some bones, yeah.
He didn't even tell me about that. And then he ran a marathon a month later.
Yeah.
He's a fucking animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he really is.
Yeah.
And he was telling me also that
Explain
he did
that to your wife when you say he's coming to live with you.
You don't know my wife. That shit ain't happening. She's kick us both out.
I just said it really fast. I told Sarah because I flew out to meet Goggins after the race. I cold called him, and my wife asked me how the meeting went. And in the meeting, I realized I kind of wanted to get the secret sauce. Like, what the fuck, try,
Yeah.
And
was that the idea?
I was
by being around such an intensely motivated guy that you would get the rub.
Get the rub, and I'd fallen into routine I couldn't get out of, and I just I was like, just get me out of my routine, man,
Right.
And I want to learn from you and that kind of thing. And my wife asked me how the lunch meeting went, and I told her that he's come live with us. She was like, "What?"
So you had this lunch meeting with him, and were you going to propose this before the meeting?
I went to what happened was I went to the meeting and with no real agenda other than I want to meet this guy, man. It's 2007. I want to meet him. 2008, something around there, was 10 years ago, and I was just so drawn to him, and I actually went home and then asked him to come, live with me. And he said yes. And then I told my wife after, this guy's coming in 2 days.
Now, why did he say yes? I mean, isn't he busy? Did you offer him money? How did this?
No, he was he was active. He was still in the military at the time, and I think I don't know exactly what triggered. I remember asking him to come, and I remember him saying to me, "If you're crazy enough to ask a guy like me to come live with you, motherfucker, I'm crazy enough to come." 3 days later, he shows up with one bag.
Knowing him, that is exactly what it would sound like if he said it with those crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Sweetie, This is David.
Wow. Did you give him an objective? Did you say why you wanted him to come, or what you were trying to get out of it?
At that time in my life, I had just left. If I have my timeline right, I think I just left this private jet car company. I had Marquis Jet. I was just starting out in this coconut water business, and I was in a routine. I was in a rut. I was just doing the same stuff, man. I was so comfortable. And I was just like, just come shake it up, man. You can travel with me. I got some meetings coming up. We'll live together. There was no book. There was no anything.
Right.
The book happened years later. And he said he would do it.
That's crazy that he just agreed.
I loved it, by the way. It was one of the best months of my life. I loved being around him. He's an amazing guy. I loved, we were watching games. We were working out. I was going out midnight, 3 a.m. We were running in the blizzards.
3 a.m.
One day, he was like, we're going to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Joe, I was like, I got to work. He's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You can work in 48 hours.
Wow.
So I would wake up at midnight. We started at midnight. We would run, let's say it took us 40 minutes. And then we would come back. We'd have, 3 hours and 20 minutes of rest. And then at 4 a.m. we'd go again, 4 miles. Boom, 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 48 hours.
Jesus Christ.
One time, I have fucking a million stories. I mean, we went in the sauna. And he's like, all right, we're going to stay in the sauna for, and I'm a sauna guy. I thought I was a sauna guy, by the way. I thought I was. And actually, this was the steam. And he's like, we're going to stay in here for 30 minutes, 8 ounces of water. Okay. We jack it up. It's fucking cooking in there. I walk in, I'm like, holy fuck. It's so hot in here. He sits down. He's whistling Dixie. Like sitting in the corner doing his shit. I'm like, 8 minutes in and my water's gone. I've already drank my 8 ounces of water. And about 19 minutes in, I'm like, Goggins, I got to get out. He's like, you can't get out. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pass out. I got to get out. He's like, you can't get out. I'm like, no. And I didn't even wait for him to say no again because I'm about to pass out. I can feel myself about to pass out. I open up the door. All the smoke from the steam room goes flying out of the door. I sit right in the chair. He comes storming out. And he looks at me. He's like, oh, fuck, you don't look good. I go, no, I'm going to pass out. He goes, we got to abort. Abort the mission. Like, we're not doing the rest of the 30 minutes. Like, I got to pass. That was the only pass I got.
Because you almost died in the sauna. Or the steam room.
I was fucked up.
Steam room's different because it's moisture.
And you're taking it in. I was taking in, like, the eucalyptus.
You're getting cooked.
Cooked.
Yeah, I mean, you're really getting cooked. It's not like with sauna, you're getting like kind of dry roasted, but in the moisture is different. Like you can't get as hot in a steam room as you can in a sauna.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a series of these, just
getting poached
throughout the
God, no, he would just make these up, like come up with these ideas.
It was just constant, man. Like, I mean, we would go to work. We'd be sitting at work, and I'd have like a 30-minute break, and he'd be like, burpee test. I'm like, what? I'm at work. He'd be like, I want to see how many burpees you can do in 10 minutes. I'd be like, burpee test. And I would like, in the middle of work, I would like get down, take off my, whatever I was wearing. I would get like my boxers or whatever, like just to get, and I would do as many burpees as I could in 10 minutes and be soaking wet, and I'd walk into my next meeting. And everybody knew that was part of the thing.
So you explained to all these people that wow.
Closed every deal. I closed every deal, man.
Because you're so amped up.
But plus he was there. Who's going to say no? People were fascinated. I'd walk in and they'd be like, at the end of the meeting, I'm like, do you want to talk? It's like, whatever the fuck you guys are in, we're in. We're in.
Wow. That sounds so much better than living with a monk.
It was.
That sounds so much better.
I miss him.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch?
Well, yeah, and we go. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but yeah, I mean, I've known him since 2007 now. I mean, it's been 10 years.
Wow.
Crazy Amazon story. We've talked about running and suffering. Now let's head into something completely different, the Amazon rainforest. In this clip, Forrest Galante shared some wild stories from deep inside the Amazon, and I'm talking next level stuff, like getting chased by wild animals sneaking through remote tribes, and trying to find animals that everyone thought were extinct.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like what it must be to just be in the Amazon itself as well, right?
For sure.
In the jungle, not just the rivers and the lakes or whatever's out there, but the actual jungle itself.
It was incredible. The jungle there. So we were in Colombian Amazon, and like talk about untouched by people. There's been this kind of ongoing conflict in Colombia for many, many years. So we were the first Westerners to go there in over 60 years. So the village we flew into, they'd literally never seen white people before. And then we went 200 kilometers from that. So like middle of nowhere.
Did they want to touch you?
Yeah, hair. Because their hair was very dark and very different. And like, I'm not particularly fair, but just to touch like the hair and see the blue eyes and stuff, they were just loving it.
Friendly?
Super friendly. Like the culture was very stoic. Like there wasn't a lot of smiling or crying. You know, there wasn't like a lot of emotional exchange. But straight away they came and greeted us, like shook hands, you know, said hello. It was really cool.
Wow, that's gotta be. Now, how do you set something like that up? Do you have like a liaison that like acts as a go-between between you and the tribes?
Yeah, so we did in this case have one guy who communicated. I speak Spanglish, I guess, and they all speak Spanish from back in the day. So we set it all up. It's part of the wildlife stuff that I do. We literally flew a DC-3, a World War II cargo plane, into this cocaine dealer's airstrip.
What?
And then that's how we got there. I mean, like, mind-blowing stuff.
Current cocaine dealer or former?
Former, yeah. Well, you know,
who knows?
TBD.
It's still Colombia, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, I was that one was really cool, really remote.
How crazy is it that they learned Spanish from people who came over on boats from Spain and it just stuck?
Isn't that nuts? And took over the whole like
region.
Yeah, the whole world. And here's
for
this tribe in the middle of the Amazon that has this language from another continent.
Well, and Brazil, right? From Portugal.
Right.
It's really incredible when you stop and think about it. I mean, it's incredible, but it's also part of it's a little sad. Like, wouldn't you have loved to have heard what their original language was?
Oh, absolutely.
Like what it sounded like?
Well, they did. So it's funny because when they didn't want us to understand what they were talking about, they would switch to their native Indian language. So they still had... They were bilingual, a community of 25 people that have never left, and they're bilingual.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Now, their native language is what? What is it?
It's an Amazonian Indian dialect. I honestly don't even... They might have said the name, but I don't recall.
What is the name of their tribe?
Also, I'm not even sure. They're so isolated, they're unaware of what country they live in. They don't even know that they're in Colombia.
Really?
Really. They're just like, to them, they're Amazonian. They're not Colombian, Ecuadorian, Brazilian. They're Amazonian.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So they just stay. Like where they are, they stay.
And the village we were in is literally, I think it's over 200 kilometers from the next village of 15 or so people. And they don't have fuel. They don't have motors. You know, they just in this pocket and they just subsistence live.
And they're all barefoot, right?
Yeah.
Do they have those crazy splayed out feet?
Big feet, you know, because they're not very big people. They're like small Indian people, but really big, kind of useful feet. And the way that, you know, they could run up and down trees and climb stuff, I mean, it was unbelievable. Like so much more athletic than you could imagine.
Oh, I'd imagine, right? They've been doing that their whole life.
Their whole lives, yeah.
Now, when I say splayed out feet, what I'm talking about is that people that walk barefoot in the jungle for long periods of time, like their whole life, their toes spread out and their feet almost look like a hand.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I did not pay enough attention. That might have been the case, but I didn't notice
looking
it.
At their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird thing to stare at dudes' feet.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Steve Ranella, who's a good friend of mine, told me about that. He was in Guyana and is the same thing, and they actually got some pictures and videos of these people's feet. But look at these guys up there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't notice anything like that.
Yeah. This is the that's how do you say that? Horani?
Sounds right.
Horani, you think?
Horani.
Horani Indian splayed feet. So it's very strange. Like it's kind of the opposite of what happens to women when they jam their feet into those little pointy shoes.
Right.
Where they get the toes kind of smush onto each
The
other.
ballet feet.
Yeah, it's horrible. Instead of that, they're all like crazy spread out. What in the fuck is going on there? The guy's
The
got
top
like
is hands, I think.
wood. Yeah, the top is hands, but the bottom is like wood feet.
But
Like,
that's got to be like what our feet are supposed to be.
probably right.
Right?
Yeah, thick ass toes that actually have muscles in them that move.
That you can use like a tool, like your hand. Yeah.
And these guys just can climb up trees with them, so they grip the side of the tree with their feet like a hand?
Oh, I mean, I didn't notice, like I say, the feet just like that specifically, but the way they could, like, everything's covered in mud down there, right? It's all wet. It rains every day. And they could run up and down these tree trunks, like, to get up and down the village. And here's me and my crew with our awkward cameras and stuff, and we're slipping and sliding and falling over.
Yeah.
And, like, they're literally like, what's wrong with these people? Why can't they walk? We must have looked like infants to them.
Right. And you guys probably have, like, boots on and shit that get
course.
muddy and fucked up. And
Oh, totally. Yeah, we're wearing, muck boots, and my one buddy's got waders on, and, we think we're all hard and cool because we got all this gear, and they're just, like, running around in shorts barefoot.
It is so fascinating when you see people that don't have contact with the outside world. Like, I'm sure you're aware of that recent story. The missionary was killed by the people in North Sentinel Island.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the weirder places because they've branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago or something like that.
Right.
When you're around these people, like, what do they do if they get injured?
So funny you asked that because we kind of had that same question, right? And they don't leave. They stay in the village. They have a shaman at the village who blessed us with a crazy green powder, and that's a whole nother story. But they have a shaman, and he is their doctor. However, he has no access to any Western medicine. So it's only his learned knowledge handed down through generations, plus jungle powders and whatnot. And that's it. So we spent a day, because we had a medic with us, doing, like, kind of village help, if you will. Everybody had ringworm. Everybody had respiratory infections. There were a lot of lady problems in the village that our medic had to deal with. I mean, there was a lot of health issues, and you don't even realize it.
This dude legit puts his life on the line just to prove a lizard or tortoise still exists. No Wi-Fi, no backup, just him, the bugs, and whatever's lurking in the trees. It's not just survival. It's like real-life Indiana Jones, but with way more bug bites.
But so when these people have ringworm and all these different infections, do they treat it? Do they have, like, some naturopathic cure or some shit?
I think it's kind of a 50-50. Like, a lot of it they don't treat because it's just part of everyday life. Like, when I say everybody had ringworm, I meant everybody had it. So I don't think there was any kind of treatment or cure. It was just kind of part of them.
Huh.
But other things, the witch doctor or the shaman was trying to treat. And then we kind of went in and we had, like, medication for ringworm, so we dewormed everybody, and with the shaman's blessing, and he was, like, super excited to have Western medicine in the village. And
would you use, like, Lamisil or something like that?
I couldn't tell you. I think it wasn't topical. I think it was like a Vermox, like a pill that you take that kills the worms.
The weird thing about that is, like, don't you leave and then they're gonna get it again, right?
I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? Yeah, totally. That we were having the same dilemma, and it was like, do we interfere because we're from the outside world? Do we help? And we talked to the shaman through our translator, and he said, please help, please help. So we gave, including him, everybody this dewormer, but, they'll just come back.
Yeah, and also they probably don't understand the consequences of taking some antibiotic that's going to do some weird shit to your whole biome, right?
Right. And
Kills
these are all
the good stuff, too.
It's such a moral dilemma. You're there, and you're like, I want to help. Do I? Is it helpful? Is it hindering?
Yeah.
Our medic was like, it's undeniably going to help. They need this. And so we went for it, and it was, it seemed to help. Everybody felt fine, but we were only there a couple more days before we left. So who knows?
Wow. Now, when you're talking about ringworm, like, are these guys covered in it? They have big patches of it? Like, what's it like?
Feet and legs had big patches of it. Yeah.
And if you don't know, that's the same shit that's athlete's foot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, ringworm and athlete's foot are the same kind of funk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's why people tell you to pee on your feet.
Oh, I thought that was just for fun.
It could be for fun. Depends on what you're into. But I think that's the idea behind it, is that you're somehow or another you're killing the bad bacteria when you piss on your feet and you have athlete's foot. That might be horseshit. Maybe, yeah. With me, you always have to check. Yeah, definitely give that a little look-see. But it's a real common thing with jiu-jitsu.
Gotcha.
So guys,
just all the mats.
Yeah, it's real common. So just guys get it. And there's people really fuck up.
Bob Lazar's alien stories. Bob Lazar is seriously one of the most fascinating guys when it comes to UFOs and aliens. He's the dude who says he worked at a secret government base called S4, where he supposedly helped reverse engineer alien technology. He's got details that'll make you rethink everything about aliens.
Now, believe it or not, I'm not into UFOs. I don't follow stories or,
Even after your experiences?
No, I'm fascinated with the technology, and it irks me like every night I go to sleep that, that it was my own doing, essentially, that prevented me from continuing on in the project. I mean, it's that to be on that cutting edge of technology is so alluring to me.
Right.
But by the same token, I don't really care that there's aliens or where they come from. I mean, the prize is the technology, and that's what I'm fascinated by. But so I don't listen to UFO stories and that sort of thing. But George Knapp is, he's the guy that has the contacts and tries to thread everything together. And what he recently told me is he found, I don't know, it was either documentation or people that he spoke to. It's that the existence of this project, the project that I was on, it's something that they seem to take out every 8 or 10 years.
So that's a very specific memo, and this is actually, this is the first time I'll be very clear with people about it. It's a big topic of conversation right now. It's called the Wilson Memo. You can look it up. Admiral Wilson met with a scientist who's actually was featured in one of my films. Everybody has been debating whether or not this document of a conversation with a sitting admiral at the time is a real document. It's an actual conversation that happened, and this document is real. Everybody wants to know. The world is going crazy right now in the UFO world. I'll tell you straight up right now, I'm in the position to know, and it is a real document, that it is real. So the conversation you read in that conversation was had. I can't attest to every...
You're not being very clear.
Sure.
Please.
No problem. So there was a document that is circulating right now that is really big. It's going around everywhere. People are asking and wondering.
What is this document?
It's called the Wilson Memo, is how you can find it online, or the Wilson Leak.
There it is. Jimmy's got it. The Wilson Memorandum. Use of human volunteers.
No.
Make sure that was it. Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Admiral Wilson meets with this scientist, and they have this discussion, oddly enough, at special projects at EG&G. And if I remember, the document is from 2001. I'm telling everybody right now, it's real. And we'll see. My history is pretty good with saying if something's real or not, right? So here we go. The document comes out. They meet at EG&G Special Projects. In 1989, they stumble into a problem. This happens. They put the technology away, and then they bring it back out and see if material science has caught up and if they can make any progress. So this document kind of talks about this process. The big thing I get from it, and a lot of it's vindicating to Bob, and one of the things it's vindicating, besides the EG&G thing, is that private industry, so this guy's an admiral, and he says, I found out about your SAP, your Special Access Program. I need to know about it. And he's going to a private part of industry, and he is denied access. And he says, I should be running this program. And they were able to deny him access. So I think the takeaway here is, check it out. I'm telling you that is an actual correct, that is a leak. Now, everything said in that document, I don't know.
What are you talking about? What is said in that document specifically?
It's between a scientist and an admiral that are sitting, and they're having a meeting, and they're talking about the search for the UFO subject, the search to get Special Access Program access to all of these different things like reverse engineering programs. So in this document, they talk about it. I believe that this document, the person that went was employed by Robert Bigelow, one of the guys that has a couple of orbiting satellites and all that stuff.
He's the guy who owns Skinwalker Ranch.
No, he's not. He was the guy that owns
He used
Skinwalker.
to own it. Okay.
Yeah, he used to own it. There's a new owner, and I interviewed him for my other film, but there's a new owner, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. But there's stuff that you'll be hearing about Skinwalker Ranch soon because there's a new owner. Anyway, the whole point of this insertion here is just that document kind of validates a lot of this idea Bob just said, that they make a little progress, then they can't go anywhere. They tuck it away, and then they bring it back out, 10 years later and start working on it. What is the limiting factor? I think Bob should speak on this, but it's the material science.
Yeah, it's really where physics is. So I can see them doing that. I mean, I didn't have any information on that, but I think what George uncovered is probably accurate. That we try and do what we can, And once we reach a roadblock going, we really can't figure it out, it's just friggin' wait, put the thing away, wait for science to catch up. And, a decade later, let's take the project out again and see, all right, now where can we go?
But there's got to be someone who remains informed, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your scientists like you and Barry. You got your people that you compartmentalize. You got these people working on this
there
project.
has to be some people
Right.
that know everything.
You've got security, and then someone's going to be on the outside saying, hey, we need people to guard this building. Don't let anybody in for 10 years.
I think a lot of that is private industry, and I think that's how
Really?
they keep it. Yeah, I think that's how they because the government is just so leaky. I think that's kind of what they're doing.
That's what the document kind of proves. You just articulated that it is in control of private industry.
What private industry? Some aerospace company? Something?
I don't know.
Yeah, the admiral wouldn't name it in the car
Right.
in the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
So they still have these things, supposedly.
I would guess. I mean, I don't have any information on that.
Have you ever asked anyone that has any inkling of any idea of where they got them or how they got them?
No, but something must have been said to me from Barry, but it was just too long ago, and I can't quite remember what was said, but it just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. So it's old. At least one of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig.
Whoa.
So that means it's not just old, it's ancient.
That'd be a great Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Right?
As all of it would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
as
tripped me
all-
out when he said that for the first time.
Yeah. That's a freak out right
Yeah.
there. Just a couple of dudes with some brushes looking for a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone. They
And-
hit metal.
And when did they find it? That they have 9 of them.
Yeah.
Well, and how could we have not heard about that? What about the guys with the brushes? How could
Yeah.
you uncover something like that? And
Well, Joe's newspaper at home does. I mean, they said it on that first day.
Oh, you mean the Roswell
Yeah,
Daily
yeah, the
Record?
one you told me. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a cover. What is this here, Jamie?
This is the document, but I had to do some digging to find it.
Yes, it's just kind of, so this is where they meet at EG&G, and this is Admiral Wilson, and there's a lot more coming out. Now, I want to be clear, George didn't put this out. He didn't leak this out to anybody. This is, I can tell you how
Who
I...
recorded this conversation?
So this was an employee of, at the time, Robert Bigelow.
And this is in 2002?
Right. Do you remember when he had that government contract called OSAP, the world all knows about now, and he had NIDS that studied the ranch? So that $22 million, everybody is saying it was for ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. The $22 million was for OSAP that was pushed through Congress, 3 congressmen, right, an astronaut. It was pushed through. And that's what that $22 million, by the way, they spend more money on Viagra every year than they do studying UFOs if it was just this program, which I think is funny.
They probably
In the
make a lot
military?
more money from Viagra
They
than
probably do.
from UFOs, too.
Well, you never know how it seeds into population. But anyway, this program, this is what was the mother program. So it got the $22 million. And really, it was to study Skinwalker Ranch. Oddly enough, that $22 million all was inspired by the phenomenon they were seeing at Skinwalker Ranch, because the scientists, they're seeing vehicles come through like a space in the sky.
Yeah, we went there. I went there
Right,
with Duncan.
yeah,
We interviewed a bunch of people that seemed full of shit, but a couple that didn't.
But
It was
the-
very, very interesting.
Totally. And if you look, I spent a lot of time in the area. I'm not talking about those stories. I'm saying there were scientists hired by the government, right, through Bigelow to study the ranch because they thought it was important. And, whatever. The point is that $22 million was to study that. Then we have ATIP, which is like an auxiliary kind of program of military sightings, like Commander Fravers and that sort of thing. This document is just one of those things that has now come forward that through the Bigelow studies, it was government funded, and then it was personally funded and then government funded. It's just one of those things that kind of shakes you because you got this military guy who can't get access because of the private industry that's holding these non-terrestrial materials, that they can't study it. So that's the claim right now. Give it some time, let people dig more into this. It's fascinating, man.
It gets even more interesting when Bob talks about the time he actually got inside a real alien craft and described it in detail.
I did get a chance to look inside the craft on only one occasion. And this was important because where the reactor sat might have been critical to how it operated, since everything operates without any interconnection, so the placement of components might be critical. So they allowed me to go inside and look at it. Again, I forgot where the hell I am.
So you're going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
It's a very ominous feeling, because first of all, everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color, and there are no right angles anywhere. It's as if somebody took, I've said this before, somebody took a model and fashioned it out of wax and then heated it just for a short time so everything melted. Everything looks like it's fused together. Everything has a radius of curvature where two items meet. It's a really weird looking thing. But there was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable. Everything was really unworldly, to pick a way to describe it.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow. So these little 3-foot tallish creatures.
Yeah, and the seats were small too. I mean, obviously it was made, for something small. But there is no, there's nothing else in there. There's just seats, the reactor, and some of the subcomponents. There's no control panels. There's no bathroom. There's no decorative components or artwork or anything that you would recognize or trim. I mean, it's just a very bare bones thing.
You're not seeing any screens?
Well, there are archways around it that are part of the superstructure, and that one of the archways can become transparent. When I was in there was another group working on one of the archways, and you could call that a screen, more or less.
So through that archway, it would maintain the solidity, the solid, whatever metal it was.
Yeah,
but you could see through it.
Yeah, it just became transparent. Yeah, I saw that happen once or twice before I left.
Did you ask any questions about what the fuck?
No, there's no asking questions.
There's no asking questions.
No.
But when you watch something become transparent, and you realize it's still there, but you can now see through it.
Yeah, I mean, now that's not that impressive. We do have some liquid crystal materials that are like that. They have
seen that in bathrooms.
Smart glass. Yeah, they call it smart glass. So this is just, and I don't know if the craft is made of, an advanced metal or a ceramic. It was cold to the touch, so I would lean more towards a metal.
And when you see this craft and you're inside, was there any indication that there was an area that they would use to control it, to pilot it? Was there a pilot seat? There were 3 seats. They sat around, the reactor was in the dead center of it, and then equidistant around there were 3 seats. That's all. There was a large, they're not consoles, they're large rectangular objects, also spaced equidistant around the center. There's nothing on them. There's no buttons. There's no lights. There's no controls. And they look the same color, the same
Everything
thing.
is the same color.
It's just a different shape.
Right. And directly underneath them, there's 3 levels in the craft. The main level is what we're talking about. Directly under that, those are the gravity amplifiers, the big rectangular objects. Underneath them are the gravity emitters that look like, for lack of a better word, a trash can hanging on a pipe. 3 of those. And then the top layer, this is just my personal belief, I think that has to do with a navigation or their version of a computer with some planar panels, sensor panels around the craft that we would call portholes, but they're not portholes. They're just black areas. And I think that just determines its position in space. But I physically was in the center section, and I stuck my torso in the bottom section and hung upside down so I could see how the gravity amplifiers were positioned.
What is the roughly the size of this thing?
I don't remember from being there, but after all this stuff was over, I had John Andrews, a guy from the Testers Model Corporation, and we sat down and tried to figure out from what I saw and known sizes of things, and we came up with 52 feet in diameter. And
So
I
it's
think
fairly,
that's
fairly small.
Yeah, so I think that's a reasonable guess.
Now you said there's 9 of them, and you got a brief glimpse at the other ones. How were they different?
Oh, they looked completely different. One looked like I called it Jello mold, and it looked like a classic Jello mold with the rippled sides to it. One was a very flat disc, like like a straw hat or something like that. That was sitting up on its edge, and the thin part of it looked like a projectile had been fired through the edge of it. So I don't know if they were attempting to see if the metal could be penetrated, or if that's where the thing came from. Maybe it was shot down. But that was the only one where I saw there was, actual physical damage to it.
And that one was roughly the same size? They're all...
They were kind of too far away to tell.
Near-death experiences. They thought it was just a chill beach day in Hawaii, rented a Jeep, followed a local tip, and ended up somewhere tourists don't usually go. But what started as a peaceful swim turned into a fight for survival. One wrong step into the ocean, and things got real dangerous.
I've had multiple ocean scares now. Like the ones where you're like
crying on the beach.
Well,
No one
no,
knows
just
why.
that like in the moment,
Yeah.
I keep telling myself, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic, And one I remember was in Hawaii where we rented a Jeep, and we were like, we want to go see something, So they tell you, oh, take this road, and it takes you to this single road that goes up where there used to be volcanoes, and we come up on this beach, and they had mentioned the beach, but not really too much about it. And so when we parked, I was like, I love the ocean water. I'm going to get in the ocean, So I get in the ocean, and I remember that going in, the beach into the water was a decline, right? So like you go down, and I was just like knee deep in there and I was like, man, this current is pulling back hard, like really hard. And I kind of take like a step back, and I feel myself going further down a decline into the ocean, right? And when I decide to get out, I have to really push hard, like all legs, like boom, boom, like run, like you're running up a hill to get out. And I was like, that was fucking...
If a wave hit you there,
that was
you're
kind of
There
There was
kinda
that guy who was a
scary.
WWE wrestler.
They tell me though when I get back to the hotel, I go, yeah, we took it. I go, that beach was a little scary. They go, did you get in the water? And I go, yeah. And they go, oh, you can't get in that water. Like, you'll drown in that water. Did you notice there was nobody swimming there? And I go, yeah, I noticed.
I thought it was
But
beautiful.
I thought I found a fucking,
Oasis.
and
They
they're like,
don't tell you?
They didn't tell me. They're like, do not swim in that water. They're like, you can't swim out of that. If you would, if you had swam 10 feet in, they're like, you're just gone.
Oh,
What?
my God.
And like the panic you feel, especially in retrospect, because you remember the feeling of being like, I think I'm stuck here. I think I'm stuck right now.
Fitzsimmons saved a lady in Thailand.
Really?
What?
Yeah, someone was drowning, and Fitzsimmons swam out and saved them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Thailand. Somewhere crazy like that. Yeah, it was on vacation. I might have made up Thailand.
It doesn't sound like a place Fitzsimmons
when I
would
said
go.
Thailand. No, he would go. He's a world
Palm
traveler.
No, he's a Hawaii guy. He surfs in Hawaii.
But wherever it was. Fitzsimmons went in the ocean and saved a lady.
No shit.
Yeah.
I saw my dad save a lady.
That's a scary
in a
thing.
resort. It was at the bottom of the pool. She was just laying at the bottom of the pool.
Oh, my God.
When I was like 9 years old, it was like father, son. He took me to this resort, and there's a slide. You ever go on a slide where the water that comes off the slide, so in other words, like when you hit the water, it's like high impact. You're like,
Yes.
holy shit. Yeah. And it pushes you down. I'm 9 years old, so this is many years ago. And I remember like I could swim. I was on a swim team like as a little kid, but I remember being like, fuck, that is powerful. Like it pushes you down, right? And you just swim up, and people are, at the resort, and then look down, and my dad swims to the bottom of the pool and pulls up this lifeless body, and then they do CPR, and she came back.
Whoa.
Shut up.
Yeah. And they would write letters to our house for years.
shit.
Really? She was 19.
Oh, my
She wasn't a little
God.
kid.
Did you see the guy,
Oh, my God.
the snowboarder upside down when the random skier comes by?
Yes.
Just sees a
Yes.
snowboard sticking this far out of the snow.
Yeah.
Is this the
with
one
2
where
feet.
And the guy was buried under the snow.
He goes, "What the fuck?" He stops. He
He saved the guy's life randomly.
Is this separate? Have you seen the footage where the guy's wearing the GoPro?
I've seen that.
Right, and then he's like,
falls
fuck,
into the ditch.
into like a hole.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That is visceral. That feeling.
Oh my
You're like,
God.
And then he's just like, "We'll see what happens."
Obviously, he got out because there's footage.
Yeah.
But when you're watching that, you're like, oh my God, you could just fall in there forever. And apparently, that's something that happens.
Tree wells.
That's something that happens. So this guy just falls, and then watch this.
bro.
What?
I know Bert's feeling this.
No, I've had
Dude.
a couple experiences like this.
He manages to stop himself.
Yeah.
What
Bro.
the fuck? How the
Bro.
fuck do you get out of that?
How the fuck do you get out of that?
Fuck the skis.
How did he get out of that?
It's over, Joe.
But no, he's
No,
out.
They had to, I think I've read about this. They had to get search and rescue. He had to hang out down there for a while. Search and rescue had to come up and
Holy
I'm thinking
shit,
of getting
he's
one of those
so
GPS
lucky.
trackers.
And do you
for
see
sure.
though?
He's
how
so lucky that he
kept-
stopped right there.
But the way he right here, he's not flailing. He's
Yeah.
like putting his arm and his ski out to try to like. So this guy was able to keep some composure as this was happening, which is like
bombed it.
kind of the craziest part.
Oh my God. So this is the snowboarder that's buried upside down. So this guy
No.
just sees that little blue piece.
bro.
Just
This
randomly.
this happened to me.
Skied right over him.
Yeah, he easily
Happened
could have
to take
missed that.
Yeah, could have gone
Dude.
the other way.
There's not much blue.
Soft snow, he's in a tree well is what it is.
Yeah.
So the tree wells, it's really soft snow. So if you get stuck in a tree well, you are fucking dead. A lot of people die in tree wells.
God damn.
Yeah, I'm thinking of getting one of those GPS things.
So
Niels
when
says
we
he has
went,
one.
we went snowboarding in Matterhorn,
Yeah.
heli skiing, and the guy put a beacon on us. And the first thing he said, he puts a beacon. It's like 4 feet of powder, and he says, "This is so we can find the body." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "You might
this is
fall into a crevasse or an avalanche, so we put the beacon on to find the body."
Whoa.
That feeling, this happened to me. That feeling is terrifying.
This guy's like, "Thank you."
Good. We'll get you out of here in a sec, okay?
He was
panic.
dead.
The panic.
He knew he was
I'm
dead
feeling
too.
panic watching
The
this.
He knew
panic.
he
So
was
what
dead.
happens is, like what happened to me when we were heli skiing, is I fell face forward in powder. I'd never snowboarding in powder. 4 feet of powder is very different than snowboarding. It's like you have to have your bindings reset. You have to really know how to ride the powder, and I could not turn right. And the guy told me, he's like, "Don't go within 5 feet of my tracks. Stay within my tracks." So the whole time, I can only turn left because at the time I really wasn't that good of a snowboarder, but I could snowboard, but not in powder. And so he's going like this, and all I can do is go left, and I'm just going off the track.
Oh no.
And I'm fucking panicking. But by the way, we're at like 13,000 feet, 14,000 feet. It's very little oxygen. I'm gassed. I'm fat. I'm hungover. It's the day after the national championship that we went to. So we'd eaten edibles. It was
the
like
day after that.
It was the day after that. I flew to Switzerland and immediately landed and went heli skiing.
I don't remember that.
And so no. When we went to Florida State versus Alabama,
2013.
yeah, 2013. So all of a sudden I go to cut right, and I catch my nose, and I fucking go face first in the snow. And at first I'm like, fine. I push my arms in, and they just do not touch anything. It just goes like this. And now snow's impacted on my face, so I can't really breathe. And I'm first of all, I deal with panic, but panic kicks in immediately, and I'm like, this is why I have the fucking beacon on. And so I try to clear the snow out of my face, but I'm like pulling all the muscles in my back, trying to turn over. And then the guy just comes up behind me, grabs me on the back, flips me over, and he goes, "You should see your sound guy." My sound guy's upside down, skis kicking, upside down in the snow. And we just got the fuck out. We got on.
Ted Bundy's scary story. Ted Bundy is one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Known for his brutal methods, his crimes shock the world. But what happens when a mother has a terrifying experience involving him?
That's sick. That's my favorite follow. That's Stoic Instagram.
Oh, Stoic is great.
Yeah.
Ryan Holiday's great too.
Oh, yeah, Ryan Holiday, yeah. He looks like the guy that killed 4 college students in Idaho.
He does.
That's who I thought it was. I was like, oh, the Stoic is a mass murderer.
He's out. He's out. He's writing books about just being cool about everything. But
did you hear that, by the way, with Idaho? They're thinking about bringing back the firing squad if he gets convicted.
Oh, my God. Well, they think he might have killed people in Washington State, too. Is that where it
Interesting.
was? It was somewhere else. There was another place where he lived where similar crime took place, and they think he was studying crime in college in
Right.
order to get better at it.
Right.
It's really evil. It's an evil, scary story.
Yeah.
If all this they're accusing him is accurate, it's horrific that
Right.
that guy was out there.
Right. Dude, you want to hear a wild story? So my mom had a friend.
Let's see if we can find out if that's true, though.
Yeah.
Which part?
The part where they think that he might have committed a similar crime. Excuse me, somewhere else.
Here we go. See, this is what's happening now on an intermittent fasting stomach. I'm going to start getting crazy. It's going to, it might get bad in
Want to
here.
take another sniff?
Why the hell not?
All right, here we go. Ready?
Oh, that was deep.
Joey went in.
I went in. Okay. Get in there, Chrissy. Woo, Jamie.
No.
No,
Jamie-
Jamie said no. I didn't even get his full name out before no was coming out of his
Jamie,
mouth.
that one burned. That one fogged up my glasses. That one burned, baby.
I get it, dude. I want to lift right now. I want to do some
Seriously.
deadlifts.
I seriously like, yeah, like I want to fucking, I want to, yeah,
Put the lid on it.
I want to like start doing jujitsu with you. I don't even know how to do it.
There's nothing like a freshie when you open them up fresh.
That
When-
is a freshie.
Yeah, when you let them sit for a while, they lose a lot of their potency. Like we had one that was here for a few months, and it had lost a lot of kick. But damn, when you open them fresh,
See anything about other crimes? I'm looking still.
I believe it was where he was originally going to school.
Yeah, it said he was Washington State.
Yeah, but just did you Google may have possibly committed similar crime in Washington State?
Washington crimes.
Okay.
Just Google may have possibly committed wanted for possibly committing
Could
similar
be
crime.
major link.
A lot of
Right,
serial
that
killers come from
could
this
be
part of the country.
that he could be major link to other murders. This is it, and this is in Newsweek.
Okay.
Oh, it's Idaho murders, though.
Oh, it says new evidence recovered may be a major link to the Idaho murders. He's been accused of fatally stabbing University of Idaho students. The search warrant, which was reported by the New York Times, discussed several items which were taken from his residence. Where is the thing about the other cases? Oh, here it is.
Attending another place. But
And December 30th, he was arrested at his parents' residence in Pennsylvania. Extradited to Idaho, where he's currently charged. Koberger was attending Washington State University at the time of the murders.
Yeah, he looks like the guy from the Stoic.
But there was some, he does looks a lot like
not
him.
that hard.
But Ryan Holiday's quite a bit more handsome. It's
Ryan
like
Holiday's
his older, like meaner
Yeah.
brother.
Ryan
That's what it's
Holiday,
called.
hottie with a body.
But
it says Pennsylvania was sifting through cold cases for links to him.
it was Pennsylvania.
That's where he was found. I
Interesting.
think.
Yeah, that's yeah. They pulled him over, and he was in his parents' house. And because remember, the media was saying we don't know, we don't have any leads, but the FBI was following him across the country.
Yeah, they can't just leak.
Yeah, you
all
can't
that
do that.
information. They're in the middle of an investigation of a fucking psycho.
But it is wild, like with these, he's famous now for these murders, but as you said, could be stuff before. My mom had a friend, right? Grew up in Utah. Maybe she's 18, 19 years old, I don't know, whatever year, 70s, 80s, whatever. Goes on a date with a guy, right? Normal date, just met him, I think at the supermarket. Goes on a date with this guy, and she's at the table with him, and she feels very like a ominous feeling looking at this man. She's like, I'm looking at him, and I can see like there's nothing behind his eyes. Like there's just something that I don't like about this guy. So to the point where she has never done this, she was only 18, but since this has never done this, she went to a payphone at the restaurant, called her brother, and was like, can you please come pick me up like immediately? And stayed in the bathroom until her brother was outside and went in the car and left. And she was like, I'm just creeped out by this guy. I can't explain it. I'm creeped out. All this energy, I'm creeped out. Now, this man had picked her up from her house. So the brother had a paper route. He's leaving the next morning at 5 a.m., sees some ruffling in the bushes, okay? Crazy, right? Like whatever, sees a guy running out of the bushes, says, holy shit, whatever, runs back in the house, tells his mom and dad, sister wakes up, says he was wearing like a beige jacket. She's like, that's the guy I was on a date with. Like that, he was like waiting, he must have been like waiting for me, right? Whatever. Goes on, life goes on, what a psycho, lunatic boyfriend. 3 years later, Ted Bundy on the news. She was on a date with Ted Bundy before he had committed any murders, or he had committed murders but had not been famous for it yet, had not been convicted of it yet. She said when he saw him, she literally almost fell out of her chair because she was like, that look. She said that Ted Bundy, about, how everyone says he's so handsome, whatever. She said he would get a look over him when he was preying on a victim, which felt she was being preyed on, that she doesn't even look. He's like, he does not look like that. His face configures and contorts to something that looks so sinister that she literally was like, get me away from him now. So I was like, whoa, fucking Teddy B. Imagine you on a date with a young Teddy B. That'd be fucking nuts, dude.
So he had already.
This story is as insane as it sounds. Imagine dating someone who you think is just a normal guy, only to find out later that they're actually a serial killer. Dating a man like Ted Bundy before he became infamous and exposed to the world, that's an experience no mother should ever have to go through. The moment she realized who he really was must have been terrifying. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, things only get more unsettling as it goes. You won't believe what happens next.
He had already committed murders. So he was already, so he was looking to murder her, and he was giving that energy out.
She said, based off when all his crimes were exposed, from what the FBI said, when she went on a date with him, let's say it was 1978, he had already been convicted, connected to murders in other parts of that. Because his first murders were in like the Utah region, and that's where they were.
Holy shit.
Wild, right?
Holy shit.
Dude. Fucking, it's pretty nuts. And then I think I might have said this on the last one, but T.T. Jerry, when she was in prison, served prison time with the son of Sam. She shared a wall with the son of Sam. 2 murderers. She shared a wall with the son of Sam and Ronald DeFeo from the Amityville Horror House, the man who killed all those people in the movie The Amityville Horror, who was really based off Ronald DeFeo. She was in prison with both of them at the same time, and the prisoners from Escape from Dannemora, who like that Showtime show that they made. So she was in like real deal prisoners. But she said the son of Sam. Now this was months before the Netflix documentary came out. T.T. Jerry said, she's like, the son of Sam, David, did not kill all those people. He was involved in a cult. There were other murderers, but the city pinned it all on him. And then a few months later, this Netflix documentary came out a couple of years ago, basically saying that most likely son of Sam did not kill all those people. He killed maybe 1 or 2, but there was other murderers that just got away with it.
Do you know the Henry Lee Lucas story?
Henry Lee Lucas. Well,
Henry Lee Lucas, they made a film about him called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay.
And it's a guy who got arrested for 62 murders. And he was basically a drifter, and he was traveling across the country murdering people.
Okay.
But they think that what really happened was they came up to him and they said, hey, Henry, there was a few people that were killed behind the bushes in Indianapolis in 76. We'd sure love to solve that crime. Was that you? Yep, that's me. I killed them too. Well, did you do it with a knife? Because we found a knife. Yep, knife. Killed him with a knife.
Yeah.
And this guy was basically a dullard and may have killed people. Like a lot of drifters have killed people. But it seems like, Google that. Make sure I'm correct on this. I think now they think that they attributed a bunch of crimes to him that he couldn't possibly have committed.
It's a wild thing.
The depraved serial killer who confessed to hundreds of murders. See, this is it. So it was more than 62, which is what he was. I think he was originally charged with 600 people. Okay. Drawn together by shared childhood trauma, Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole became lovers, then serial killers who terrorized America in the 1970s. So but he confessed to hundreds of murders, but they think that some of them he couldn't possibly have done.
But did he stay in prison for the rest of his life because of it?
Yeah, I think they might have killed him
in prison.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's still alive. But see if he got if that's a story that they got him to confess to a bunch of murders that he couldn't have actually done.
That's a common thing, though, right? People confess to stuff all the time. There's a show on Apple TV. It was called Blackbird. It just came out last year. It's about a real story about a guy who, what his tactic would be, is he murdered a lot of people, but he would say to the police, "Oh, I murdered that girl in that county. I'm confessing to it." But then they would go through the research and be like, no, you couldn't have possibly. But he would cop to it. And then the cops would be like, he did that like 5 times. And they'd be like, every county he was investigating, they'd be like, that's what he does. He confesses to murders. He's a bullshitter. But he really was killing people. He was confessing to false ones so he could get away with the real ones.
Holy shit.
Wild, right?
Holy shit.
So it's like some of these guys are so smart.
a cool
Dude, the show Black.
Holy
This
shit.
actor, I think is William Hauser. Something.
good.
This is one of the best actors
Walter
in my
Hauser.
generation. No, Joe, I don't know if you know this guy. This guy's acting is like Daniel Day-Lewis level. He is a phenomenal actor. When you watch that
Really?
show Blackbird, you cannot believe it. Where I'm like,
And this is on Apple Plus.
Apple TV. This is one of the best shows I've seen. Came out last summer.
No shit.
This kid is literally like phenomenal. And then I'm watching 101 Dalmatians a day later with my kids, and he's in that. I'm like, look at this fucking lunatic.
He plays Richard Jewell in
Yes.
the Richard Jewell movie about the Olympic Park bombing.
Yep.
Wow.
Unbelievable actor. He was also in that sketch show, I Think You Should Leave, on Netflix, which is one of the funniest sketch shows I've ever seen in my life. He's got great sketches in that. That guy, but that show, Blackbird, was it's unbelievable. So basically what happens is this guy who's from he's from a bunch of movies. This kid is ripped, by the way. This kid has to be intermittent fasting.
He's in not the Watchmen.
Samuel L. Jackson's in it.
Yeah.
It's a famous movie, and he's excellent in it. But basically, the premise of it's based on a true story. This guy, the hottie with the body, he gets convicted 10 years in prison for gun charges. I think he's a guy out of Massachusetts. So, and he was a good con man, right? This is all real. Good con man, could gift a gab, whatever. So the FBI wants to pin the guy with the mutton chops, Hauser. They want to pin, Larry Hall is his name in real life. They want to pin murders on him. They know that they've kind of caught up to his game now. They know that he lies about murders here to commit murders here. They know it, but they got to convict. They got to get him to confess to one of these murders because they found the girl's body because he was killing kids, like 14-year-old girls, like brutal shit, raping them, horrific. So they say to this kid, to the jacked guy, they say, look, you got the gift of gab. You got 10 years in federal prison, okay? You're 3 months into your sentence. We're going to transfer you to this maximum security prison where Larry Hall is. If you can get him to confess to the murder of this girl that we have evidence on, and you can get that, your sentence is commuted immediately and you're out of prison. That's all you got to do. But he was in a minimum security prison, so he would be able to either coast through 10 years or take a chance and go to the prison with murderers, rapists, and potentially be murdered in the shower stall. But if he can get this guy gift a gab and get him to confess, then he'll get out.
Holy shit.
And that's what the show's about. And it was, dude, amazing show. Like, edge of my seat. It was one of the best shows I've seen in a long time.
That's
I want to watch it. I want to watch it again on smelling salts.
Thank you for bringing that up. I'm fucking pumped about that. I've been looking for a new show.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, let me just.
For those who don't know, the Son of Sam was a nickname given to David Berkowitz, a serial killer who terrorized New York City in the late 1970s. Berkowitz went on a killing spree, shooting people in random attacks, often targeting young couples in parked cars. His first known murders happened in 1976, and the city was gripped in fear as the mysterious killer continued to evade capture. What made the Son of Sam case even more chilling was the way Berkowitz communicated with police and the public. He sent taunting letters to the media, signing them Son of Sam. In these letters, he mocked the authorities and made chilling threats, which only added to the public's paranoia. Brazil's chilling 25 years mystery.
So we were following and pleading with him all the way out there. Please, just tell us, please. I swear on my life this happened. He gets in the car, doors open. He looks up, and the only reason why I'm telling you this because he died. He looks up at Marco and I, and he goes, it happened. Closed the door, and off he went. Now, the reason why I share that is because that's not something that I can put any weight on for the documentary for people like you, right? But as a personal message for me, knowing that level of validation on the inside, it kept us going. It was like, okay, why on earth would he have done that? Why on earth would he say? And that kept Marco and I going, and that was a personal level of validation. That
is there any conventional explanation why the military shut everything down, why they had military barricades set up around that area?
No, they did try to say that the creature was this guy who's got like some deformities, but I've seen the guy Modine or something like that. But you talk to the witnesses.
But why would the military shut the town down because a guy with deformities?
And then for the doctors in the hospital, they said, there was like a midget having a baby or something weird, just something that was just so ridiculous. It was like, and you talk to the witnesses, and they're just like, oh, come on, I'm not even gonna, that's laughable at best. I mean, these girls came within 8 to 10 feet. Three women, Katya, two sisters, Liliani and Valkyria, 14, 16, and 21. They got within 8 to 10 feet in broad daylight of this creature. And one of the things that doesn't come across in the film, when they saw this thing, they're looking like, what are we looking at here? They're walking through this field, and it's up against a cinder block wall. And one of them's looking at it, what is that? And it was crouched by the wall. It was weak and feeble. And one of them kind of like screeched, like, what is that? And it turned, and it looked right at the girls, locked eyes on them. Liliana grabs her younger sister, who's 14, Valkyria, and hightails it out of there. Katya is 21. She's frozen in her tracks, locked eyes with this creature, and it's communicating with her. Please help me. He wants help. It's weak and it's feeble and it's scared, and it's crouched down. Liliani realizes that Katya is back there. She gets, 100 feet down the path. She leaves her sister, stay here, I'm going back to get Katya. She runs back. And I asked Katya, and I asked all the girls, during that moment of contact, when you lock eyes, I know it's only a brief second, but during that moment of contact, what did you feel? Like, put me there. That's where the title comes from, Moment of Contact, because that was when they locked eyes on this creature. And that's when Katya said, help me, I'm scared. And it was feeble and suffering. And it's a very powerful moment. And these girls have been saying the same thing. The mother, it's the first time I'd ever reported on these so-called like men in dark suits that show up and intimidate witnesses. Honestly, I've been hearing about those cases for so many times, but I've avoided them because it's got so much baggage from Men in Black. It's just ridiculous. I just didn't even want to be associated with it. But I'd heard it. I can go on until I'm blue in the face. I go until tomorrow morning with the amount of cases, with generals too. But this time, when the mother said that these men showed up and tried to get the daughters to say they were lying and offered her a briefcase full of $100 bills and they could relocate, I don't know. For some reason, I said, okay, for the first time in 25 years, I'm going to report on these guys. And I did. And it's in the movie. You can hear the mother talking about it, and she's so emotional. And the mother came back to the location where it happened, the smell, that stench, and the footprint on the ground. I mean, everybody talks about that stench, that it was so... They said, if you ever take like a skunk, multiply that by like 100,000, that would give you some indication of the level of like how putrid and nasty. It was paralyzing. And it stayed in the areas, like at the hospitals when they did the x-rays, and everybody talks about it. That stench, it was unbelievable. Like it fills your navel cavities and doesn't leave for a week. It was incredible. And they all said the same thing.
And they couldn't get it out.
They couldn't get it out. Yeah, they sanitized the hospital. The guy said that he had to close off that wing of the hospital while they were sanitizing it because it was so intense. So
How long did it last for?
I heard days and weeks is what I heard from people. And even the mother said when she went to where the creature was, she said that the stench, even there after the creature was gone, got in her nasal cavities and she tried to flush it out with water and saline or whatever, and she just couldn't get it out of her nasal cavities. Really crazy. But they all did. I mean, everybody talked about that stench, I mean, the military officer, the guy that drove the creature around, I was sitting across from him. You can't see his face, but I did. And I'm looking this guy in the eyes. I'm thinking, I could be looking at a guy that drove a fucking alien around. You have no idea, dude. You have no idea.
How did he describe it?
So fucking intense. When I came back from that trip, people were like, how was your trip to Brazil? What was it like, man? They got great... smoothies and coffee, and I'm just like, you guys have no idea. I think an alien spaceship crashed, and they recover live aliens, and we made contact, and the Americans came in. That's what I'm thinking about. So I told a couple people. On the last trip I came back, I was just like, I was so rocked. I couldn't reintegrate back into culture. I was just like, fuck, I think this happened. It's the biggest story ever. So people were asking me, even my neighbor who runs that Make-A-Wish Foundation, he was like, James, he goes, bro, I like you a lot and I got a lot of respect for you, but you lost me on this one. And I was like, I don't blame you, bro. I really don't. But listen to the witnesses. That's all I say. And And I would tell people, and I realized I can't talk about it. All I can say is just listen to the witnesses. Don't take it from me. But I'm looking at that guy in the eyes, Joe. And I've been at this for 30 years. I'm working on my 7th film right now. I'm looking this guy in the eyes and I'm like, this guy probably drove an alien around. And it tripped me out so hard. And it ruined his life. He's to get this guy to go on camera, just like a week earlier, he was like, I don't care all the money in the world. I'm never coming forward. The risks are too high.
How did it ruin his life?
Because you're hard.
For more context on the mystery, Brazil's version of Roswell took place in 1996 in the small town of Varginha. It all started when 3 girls spotted a strange creature in a field, something with red eyes, a weird shape, and dark skin. They freaked out and reported it, but it didn't end there. Soon after, people started talking about strange lights in the sky and a possible UFO crash. The military swooped in, sealing off roads and searching the area, but kept everything under wraps.
Bring the secret. You're being watched. You're being told not to ever talk about this. And you're looking over your shoulder all the time. And they call you, the military calls you periodically. They want to know where you are. And he's got this secret inside him that he can't tell the rest of the world. And he's thinking about all the different, everyone's out there speculating, is it real, is it fake, is it real, is it fake? And this guy drove a body around. Just think about that for a second. Think about the doctor who took the x-rays of this thing. Marco Leal, thank you, Marco, you're the man. Marco Leal found him 8 years ago. And he was like, he confirmed the story. He was still working at Regional Hospital. He goes, I'll never come forward. Marco kept going every year back and forth. Then he retired. And 4 years after he retired, he agreed to meet with us. He wasn't even sure he was going to go on. And I said, look, man, we'll film you from the back. We'll disguise your voice. Showed us photographs of him at the hospital. We know we've been trying to get at him. Excuse me. At the end of the interview, he said, thank you. I feel so much better. I've been shouldering that burden for 26 years, and I've so desperately wanted to tell somebody, to share that story with the rest of the world. And you meet these people, and you think, why on earth they didn't come to us? They're not trying to sell their story. We tracked them down and begged and pleaded with them to come forward. When I found Martha, the sister of the deceased military officer, Marco Chirizi, we were knocking on doors. I remember the sound guy from Rio de Janeiro. He was like, you're out of your mind. Dude. What are you doing? You can't just knock on random doors. I was like, man, if there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to find this lady. And we found her. And it was like this kind of sketchy area. And, you know, it's like when you get out of your car and you could see like people drawing the curtains back and looking at you and you're standing out like, dude, I stood out like a sore thumb, man. And then we walked up. I had Marco with me, thank God, and we had camera crews and stuff. It's kind of sketchy. And Marta appears, and her husband appears in this he's a big guy, and he's got like a white beater shirt on, and he looks like he wants to rip my fucking head off. And I'm like, and she's looking at me, and he's just looking at her going, Marta's looking at her husband, and her husband's looking at Marta like, give me the signal, I'll kill this guy. That's the fucking... And I was looking at Marco, and I was like, James, you need to think quick on your feet right now. And I said immediately, please translate this. I'm here to give your brother justice. I'm here to get the story out. Please, talk to me. And we developed a relationship with her slowly over that. And those are the first words that we exchanged. And we eventually got her to come forward, and we talked. She'd gone forward in the past, but she doesn't know who the hell I am.
I want to take you back to the doctor.
Okay.
When you talked to the doctor, what did he describe?
He said that it was a normal day, January 1996. It was a regional hospital. He said every day, and all of a sudden, all these military trucks and police cars showed up at the hospital. They come in armed, and they got a bag. They got a thing in a black body bag. And he was like, what the hell's going on here? They're like, you're going to be taking some x-rays. And he's like, okay. And they had him inside, and they had armed clubs. And I was asking him, like, what was it like? Because when I interview witnesses, I always ask them to project. Sometimes I'll even close my eyes because I'll use their words to recreate. So I'm like living it through them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'll close my eyes, and I'll recreate the scenes in my head with their words, right? It's harder in Portuguese because I'm having to get it translated. But I asked questions like, what was the atmosphere like? Was there any talking? No talking. Super tense atmosphere. Very tense. Armed guards on the outside, armed guards on the inside, military trucks running. Nobody comes, nobody goes. And he said, first time in in the history of my career, I took the x-rays and I couldn't even verify that they were good because they took them immediately. And then they said this event never happened. He said the stench in the hotel, in the hospital was overwhelming. And he goes through the different x-rays that he took, the abdomen, the head, the arms, the legs, the thorax, and it was incredible. In fact, Uberajada Rodriguez, if you're listening to this, he's one of the leading researchers. He's gone quiet. Peccaccini disappeared for 20 years.
Did he get to see images himself? Did he get to see the body himself?
Oh, he was right. Well, they didn't open the body bag, but he said the stench was just overwhelming.
So they x-rayed it through the body bag?
They x-rayed it through the body bag.
So he never got to see...
He did not see the alien.
And he didn't get to see the x-ray images or anything?
Nope. They wouldn't let him see a damn thing. Nope. Now, there were two doctors. There was a guy named Roger Lear. Roger Lear found out, these are people that I really want to meet. I mean, people are coming forward in droves right now. We just got 2 forensic pathologists for the first time ever working together to come forward to make statements, and they're providing documentation of the autopsy reports done on the deceased military officer. That's the first time ever these guys are coming forward, and it's happening right now.
Let's explain what happened to people who haven't watched the documentary to the deceased military officer.
Yeah, so right after the 3 girls came within 8 to 10 feet of this creature or being or entity or ET, whatever you want to call it, about an hour later, it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would say probably maybe around 5 o'clock, there were 2 military guys on patrol on the lookout for something unusual, is what they were told. They didn't say a UFO had crashed. They were on the lookout for something highly unusual. And it was Eric Lopes at the wheel and Marco Chirizi, military police, in the passenger seat. They were about 1.5 blocks to 2 blocks away from where the girls had seen the creature a couple of hours earlier. And this thing runs across the car in front of them. He had slammed his brakes on, and without a moment's hesitation, Marco Chirizi jumps out of the car and grabs the thing with his bare hands. Yeah. And he puts it in the back seat, and they drive it to a clinic, and the doctor is like, what the hell is that? Get it out of here. I don't know what, leave. So they went to regional hospital, and then ultimately it went to Humanitas Hospital. And so we have testimony from Military X that when he drove it from Humanitas Hospital, it's in the movie, but he drove it from Humanitas Hospital to as a military base where it spent the night in the truck for 1 night, and then it went from there to Espesex Campinas. It's like a university. It's where all the intellectual scientific heavyweights reside. And then it was there, I think, under examination, according to the witnesses that we talked to, for a day or 2, and that's when the Americans flew in to Campinas. And we have the radar military control officer who came forward last year, actually 2 years ago when we were there filming for the last time. His name is Marco Feres, F-E-R-E-S. And he came forward for the first time and he said, yeah, in January of 1996, this plane came in, USAF, he kept calling it, United States Air Force, came in. It didn't have the authorization of the Brazilian government. And he was like, this thing can't land. And some higher up stepped into the room. This is his testimony. I'm just relaying what he said. He said some higher up came in the room and said, let it land. And it came and it landed at Campinas. And then from Campinas, 2 helicopters, according to him, flew to Varginha, Brazil, Varginha back to Campinas. Then they loaded something on the airplane and then off to the United States. And that's where the case goes cold.
Rumors spread that the Brazilian government was hiding something big, with some claiming they saw the same creature or even aliens in the area. Despite all the strange occurrences, the story quickly disappeared from the public eye, leaving people to wonder, did a UFO really crash in Brazil, or was it just all a bizarre coincidence? Ghost hunting story. Let's keep track of some creepy and scary stories and see what a guy who hunts ghosts for a living has to say about his experiences and the super creepy stuff he's witnessed.
Are you a big ghost guy?
I believe it's possible.
I'm obsessed.
Are you?
So really weird side hobby of mine, I go ghost hunting. I've been like around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. It's incredible.
What have you experienced? Have you ever had like an absolute moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm in the presence of a poltergeist?
Not. Still not 1,000%. I've definitely witnessed things that I cannot for the life of me explain that have creeped me out. The timing has been impeccable. I've seen things move that there's just no fucking way that they've moved. I've gotten answers back on EVPs, but for me, it is one of those things I do need to see it.
Isn't an EVP like a radio though?
No, EVP is just a recorder.
It's a recorder. What's that radio thing? I'm sorry then. What is the one where they like listen?
There's a bunch of different names.
My daughter's heavily into this shit.
What does she watch?
Heavily. Sam and Colby.
You had them on, right?
Yes.
So
Great guys.
So I met these other guys. There's another channel called the Overnight Channel who are equally as popular as Sam and Colby, and they actually used to work together. And I believe they split off into each do their own thing. But that's who I started going with. So I'm very familiar with those guys.
So these kids, the Sam and Colby guys just went into the Conjuring house.
I was just there, maybe a month and a half ago.
You went into the Conjuring house
by
too?
myself, Joe.
Okay. Do you believe that there's something going on in that house? The Conjuring movies are fucking great.
It's my favorite franchise.
They're fun. And there's so many of them. They really did it right. Like, if you want to be smart, they branched off with The Nun. They branched off with Annabelle.
And I love the way they tie in the story from each one to make it all one chronological story. It's genius.
Yeah.
I will say I wasn't as scared as I've been in a lot of places we've been. There is some kind of solace to the house, but you get to know the history of it, and it does make sense that there would be something here. I mean, it's on some ley lines of water underground. There was wars fought there. There's apparently bodies buried on the property in the walls of the property structures and stuff. There's a lot of history that goes into it that just makes for kind of the perfect storm for some creepy shit. But I didn't witness anything that was that insane. Some items moved. Some cars rolled off of the children's dressers a couple of times on cue. And that's the one thing I do pride ourselves in these videos is so often we get absolutely nothing because we don't fake anything. So you only get to see the highlights. Like, there's so many times we'll go to a place that is so notoriously haunted and we'll be there for 10 hours and get absolutely nothing. And it sucks. But that makes when something does happen that much more valuable. It's so much more impressive.
What do you think? So do you think a ghost is like the soul of a person that's left behind? Or do you think the ghost is almost like space and time because of a horrible incident contain a memory? And like that memory is almost like it like shows up in current time sometimes. There's a guy named Rupert Sheldrake. I forget what his field of study is, but he had this theory about things, and he believes that objects contain memories.
Oh, interesting.
And he's not the only one that has
inanimate
this.
objects?
Yeah, that things contain memories. And this is one of the reasons why, like, people kind of universally support this idea that if someone was murdered in a house, you must inform the people that are about to buy it. You have to tell them, hey, somebody got murdered in this house. Like, maybe you don't want to buy this house.
Now,
maybe you should think about it.
Does the potential owner have to ask that information?
It's a good question.
I'd want to know.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think they should have to inform you because there's something about someone being murdered in a spot that freaks us out. And this is my question. How you knew the conjured house was haunted, right? So you go there with this feeling and this expectation. That's what I always wonder about these things. Like how much of this isn't just imagining things. This is like the mind itself seems to have some unmeasured effect on the world.
Yeah.
I think the way you think has an unmeasured effect in terms of like this. There's energy that you put out. There's connections you make with people. They're very, very unmeasured.
And you can manifest your own perception of things for sure.
Yeah. So what my concern is like if you go into a place with a pre-existing knowledge of ghosts, like you think ghosts are here, you think ghosts are real, you have this thought in your mind that you maybe experience a ghost in this place that's haunted. You're at this elevated level of anticipation. You're probably really nervous and kind of freaked out, and your imagination starts firing up. And I'm not even saying that these people are lying or that they're seeing things that aren't there. I'm saying maybe you make things show up. Maybe you see memories. Maybe you experience some horrible energy that existed in this spot 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that there's like ways you can tune into that.
I could see that being possible, but to me, that's what's so exciting about it is like you go hoping for those solidified answers. You're going hoping to witness something that you couldn't have possibly made up.
But you know why I think that too? Is like you never see them in the daytime. Ghosts don't exist on the street.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but not outside.
They're never outside. That's a very good point.
That's my point, is like you're always trapped. So you're always in this like weird space. Like if you had a wolf in your house, you'd be freaked out. You'd want to get outside.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want a wolf in the it's a fucking wolf in the house.
Yeah.
Anytime you're in a contained area, your brain has this heightened sense of like being trapped and awareness and how to escape. I mean, every horror movie's the same. When you got to get to the door, right? Everybody's trying to fumble with the keys and the monster's chasing them and they get it just in time, right? That is a reoccurring theme in the human mind. If you're trapped in a fucking house with a killer or a ghost or a wolf, it's scary.
You know where that makes the most sense? We did the USS Hornet up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And we had the whole ship to ourselves, which I was so excited about because I love military stuff. I love history. I was so excited to go there and just witness it. And they sent me by myself on basically a game of hide and seek where I had to go find them in the ship somewhere after I had to count to 100 by myself. It was the most terrifying place I've ever been because if you've never been in like the bowel of a ship, it's so unfamiliar. Like doorways don't look the same. You have to step over them and everything. There's so many pipes and everything sticking out. It's such an unfamiliar environment, especially in the dark. It's terrifying. You think I can't possibly run away from something in here. There's too many obstacles. You don't know if that's a wall or a pipe or something peeking around to like look at you. It's fucking terrifying because of exactly that. You feel so trapped.
If you like this video and the wild stories from Joe Rogan, you'll probably dig my other video too. It's got just as much crazy stuff, so go ahead and give it a shot.